Where do you stand on crypto today? Are you still bullish?
Yeah. So any new technology, I don't care what it is, and I've been involved with a lot of new technologies, disruptive technologies. I could take you back to the early days of streaming when we were the very first commercial streaming company, and right off the bat, it was hard to use. You know, if you think back to 1995 and you wanted to stream just audio, you had to have a subscription with an internet service provider. Then to make that work, you had to download a client which had a TCP/IP client. Then you had to download a streaming audio client, you know, and you had to have the right kind of modem. There were all these pieces that had to fit together. It was complicated. And so the uptake was big for sports fans and, you know, big news junkies, and everybody else were like, dude, you're an idiot. I'll just turn on my TV. You know, I'll just turn on the radio. What the hell do I have to go through all that hassle to just listen to a sporting event? And we reached that initial stage, and then all of a sudden it got a little bit boring, right? Because you had to wait for the new applications to come along. You know, we had to wait for live to come along. We had to wait for video to come along. We started, you know, streaming audio in 1995. When we did video, it was 1998, you know, and even then it was only postage stamp size. And it was only, you know, in 2012, let's say 2013, 14, almost 20 years later, where people looked at streaming like, okay, it's normal, right? You just click on Netflix and it just streams, and you don't have to do anything else. Well, with crypto, it's very analogous to that. We're in the early hassle phases. Now, the very earliest of crypto, you know, however you want to decide the beginning with Bitcoin or whatever, has been around 12 years. But in terms of applications with smart contracts, that's only 2017 for the most part. And so we're really only 5 years in. So I'm still really bullish on crypto. We had some early wins, just like, you know, streaming audio with sports and news. Now, you know, with crypto, you have DeFi and you have, you know, money transfer and some other applications, but you haven't had any mainstream applications where your mom says, okay, we've got to get a wallet because I have to do A, B, or C, right? It's been DeFi, NFTs, and money transfer. And so it's kind of boring right now. We're waiting for that next round of applications, and there's a lot of people working on them. You know, NFTs for the resale of books. So we take NFTs past the collectible markets to the utility markets. NFTs for refi, which is for carbon offsets, buying and selling and trading carbon offsets, and even burning them so that they're not resold all the time, but they have a direct impact on the environment. And there'll be more and more and more of those applications that bring in, that are more mainstream. But they're not all the way here. They're not truly mainstream yet. And so we're going through that lull. And you saw the same thing with the internet too, right? Until mobile phones came along, from 1995 to 2007 with the iPhone, meh, right? I mean, you had Amazon, you had, you know, you could go shopping and you could stream, but it wasn't like it was just earth-shattering. But once we got it on mobile, then we got the App Store in, what, 2009? And then even remember there, the first apps on the App Store were like, here, look, let me hold my phone like this and it looks like I'm drinking a beer.
Game.
Right? Yeah, it looks like I'm drinking a beer. Just dumb shit. There's no reason why crypto's going to be any different. But the good news is, you know, the investments I'm looking to make are geared towards applications that'll be mainstream and not about, okay, let's create an Instagram for crypto. Let's create a Twitter. Not Me Too type applications. More like, okay, things that take advantage of smart contracts and distributed environments.
I mean, you kind of touched on this, but what are some ideas and topics that make you excited?
NFTs is books, I think particularly for textbooks. Now, whether or not we can get the college textbook publishers to go along is another issue. But, you know, the idea of kids buying books for classes today, my daughter just went to Vanderbilt. So the whole process of buying books, you know, first, do you want to buy new or used? Right? Then you lug these books back, and then at the end of the semester, because they're only good for the time you were in the class, you make the decision. You know, yeah, I'm going to sell it. How do I sell it? Do I ship it off? Do I take it to the bookstore? It's just a pain in the ass, and in a digital world, it's ridiculous. And, you know, with those as NFTs, well, the NFTs allow you to apply royalties that when that book is resold, the author and the publisher and whoever else is involved can get a set royalty fee. So that means that, you know, the publishers and people who created the book can keep on getting paid, whereas when there's a physical book, that gets sold and resold, they have to hope that book falls apart, you know, and so that they can sell a new one. And so I think that's a great application. As I talked about environmental impact with trading of carbon offsets. I think insurance, being able to very easily buy insurance. But I think in terms of the home run type applications, and more complicated, longer to develop type things, you know, I think things like health insurance. Right, the whole process of getting a claim pre-approved or approved after the fact is horrible. Nobody likes dealing with their insurance company, their health insurance company. First of all, for pre-approvals, you never know whether or not you'll get pre-approved or not. And when you go, it's not like the UK where you just go to the NHS and you just hope they have it, not if you'll get approved. You know, here it's like, all right, I have this need, the doctor's prescribing it for me, but I can't afford to pay it out of pocket. And so what am I going to do if my insurance company doesn't approve it? Well, with crypto, you could reinvent how insurance claims are pre-approved or approved by creating an environment where you have 1,000 validators. There's different types of roll-ups, you know, optimistic roll-up where you have validators and challengers, right? So you could train people to be a validator and pay them every time they validate, approve or don't approve a claim. The optimistic roll-up side of it, the challengers will say, okay, you know, you didn't approve this, but not for the right reason. Your training says you should have approved it. I'm challenging it. So anything that you're staking that you put up to get paid for that, I get, and that keeps it honest. That's just a crypto way of keeping things honest. And so that type of application has scale, it has impact, and it's better in a decentralized, you know, wide and flat organization than vertically integrated company like our traditional companies. And I know that's deep in the weeds, you know, but that's the reality, right? You've got, you know, any tech advancement, you've got to start, you know, Steve Jobs had this great saying. He said, everything's a remix. And you have to look at new technologies and look at things the way they're being done and say, okay, how can I remix these together? You know, how can I do a mashup in music terms, right? And if you can mash this stuff up and have it make sense and make it easier for and better for people to use, that's a big win.
And I just released my NFT project, Tykes, and then you told me you're launching an NFT project too. Want to tell us about that?
The idea is we've got all these brands and all these locations all over the world, but we've never sold a season pass. We've never sold a pass that allows you to go do all those events. We sold a Spartan pass in the United States where you could just do Spartan events, but imagine being able to do Spartan or Tough Mudder or DECA or Trail or La Ruta with one pass. And then we said, well, how would we manage that pass? Well, let's use blockchain.
Yeah.
Let's use an NFT to do that. And then we said, this is what I get most excited about. Every cult needs a temple. We are a cult, a healthy cult, just like Harley Davidson's a cult or Lululemon's a cult. We are a cult. Last we recorded over 40,000 Spartan tattoos on people. It's crazy. So where's our temple? Well, our temple is in ancient Sparta, Greece. That's what we're connected to spiritually. And so they want us to build, the city's been begging us to build a giant monument. Imagine a 35-foot high steel statue of a Spartan helmet surrounded by 300 tombstones representing the 300 who died, oddly enough, 2,500 years ago. This is the anniversary year. And then we said, wouldn't it be cool, I know it'd be cool for me, if I could put my ashes, my remains next to the 300. Like anybody can go to some boring cemetery in Vegas or Queens or wherever and be next to their family. I want to be in Sparta next to the 300 for eternity.
That's crazy.
So not only do you get this pass to go do any event anywhere in the world, but you got your plot in ancient Sparta next to the 300 forever.